And most of these people come regularly, but give John and Judy a hand for dinner and everything. Thank you very much. Tonight I just want to share some of my life experiences with you, like Judy so eloquently introduced me. Thank you for allowing me to be here today and giving me the opportunity to share some of my ideas, what I call living life to the fullest as a handicapable person. What I want to share with you tonight are some of the things that kind of stick out in my mind as I grew up, some of my accomplishments, some of the memories that I have. Also the fact that the idea of, I was going to mention too, can everybody see me because I'm standing up and this is as good as it gets. As long as you can hear me, I think we're okay. I also want to, the idea that me being different was actually much more of a revelation for me. It was much later in my life before it actually clicked in my head that I actually was different, which is kind of ironic. And also, finally, I want to explain to you or show how my ability to adapt to things has allowed me to overcome many of life's challenges. Again, as my introduction mentioned, I'm from Dunlap. Not from there, I'm currently living there. Grew up in Wyoming, Illinois, if anybody knows where that's at. Where I currently live with Lisa. And my mom is sitting over here, in case you didn't know. Raise your hand, Mom. And this is Grandpa, who made with the funny hat. She hasn't taken off for almost 8 years now.
He does not sleep with it, though.
There we live with the two boys, Traeger, who's 17, Preston, who's 16, and we also have our beagle, Hazel, who will soon turn 4. I also have a son, Brian, who just on Thursday turned 21. And obviously he's learning the hard way, learning all about life's challenges also as we speak. Over the years and still today, well, and actually yesterday, we were at a track meet all day up in East Moline. But chasing those boys around and keeping up with all their sporting activities, their homework, their school, all those types of things has definitely kept me busy. But besides helping raise the 3 boys to become teenagers, which I do feel honestly is my ultimate achievement, there are some other things that I said that I'd like to share with you growing up. I spent most of my years up to age 18 at the Shrine Hospital up in Oak Park. I went through the Shriners. I had, I don't know how many surgeries over the years, orthopedic surgeries, but I'm happy to say and proud to say that my time there was well spent, and without that group of doctors and nurses, there's simply no way I would be where I'm at today. They gave me a lot of the independence that I have, and so that I'm very grateful. Being able to get around and be independent, I can't remember at what age I was able to finally start walking, but I know I was walking by the time I went to kindergarten. And one of my favorite memories I like to share as far as going to kindergarten was, if you can imagine if any of you had children and your little kindergartners come home from school and they're all excited about giving you their homework or their projects that they worked at so you could put them up on the fridge. Well, when we were learning our colors back in kindergarten, for some reason, I don't know, but the Crayola crayons when I was little were like 3 inches thick. They were huge. These big old crayons. Well, I couldn't hold on to the crayons. But I didn't let that stop me. What I did was I learned how to put that big old crayon up to the corner of my eye, and I would color like this. Yeah, which took forever, going back to the story of, okay, now I bring my stuff home, I'm all proud to give it to Mom so she can put it on the refrigerator. She didn't even have to look at the picture before she knew what color I'd been learning that day. It was all over my face. Remember that? Another thing I like to share, and as Grandpa's here, he can attest to, I learned how to swim at an early age, and it was because Grandma and Grandpa had a pool in their backyard. And I'm sure that one of the things they were concerned about was, well, what if Kurt falls in the pool? We want to at least have him somewhat have the ability to swim. So I don't remember how old I was, but a youngster, and we had the teacher come over, and basically what she did was teach me how to, I'd swim on top of the water face first. When it came time to take a breath of air, I would roll over on my back, float on my back, take my breath of air, and then roll around and keep going. So I think if you can kind of picture a little torpedo skimming across the top of the water, that's basically how I learned how to swim. I was also very active. I love sports, liked being outside. Didn't let the fact that I couldn't run quite as well as everybody stop me. One of my favorite games to play was basketball. We lived just across the yard from the tennis courts, which also had the basketball hoops. Well, without an elbow, I wasn't ever able to really figure out how to get the ball up high enough to shoot free throws. So what I did was I learned and taught myself how to kick them. And so I would stand and I would kick the basketball into the hoop. And I can remember for sure it was in 5th grade. I was in the gym, and the gym teacher bet me how many I could make out of 10. I made 8 out of 10, and so he owed me a big thing of bubble gum, which he made me share with everybody, but that was okay. I showed him that I could kick in my free throws. So. About 10 years old, I'm guessing, is 9 or 10 years old, is when I learned how to play golf. And I come from a family of, my dad's side is bankers, and I don't know if any of you know, but a lot of bankers, that's part of their job is golfing. so I definitely had that as part of my background. Well, I picked up the game, took lessons, actually with a set of my dad's old left-handed clubs. He had tried left-handed and didn't like it. I obviously was left-handed. I've tried right-handed, but it never panned out that well. But yeah, over the years, like Judy had said, I've gotten to the point where through all the lessons and back when I had more time and money, I used to spend a lot of time on the golf course. I got to the point around college age where I was actually participating in the National Amputee Golfers Association has Midwest tournaments, and so I was playing golf competitively. Around here, another joke, that's kind of a joke. Story I share with people is, I'll go to a public course around here and walk up to the first tee and maybe meet somebody that's not met me before, and they'll look at me and they say, well, gee, you've been playing, well, what's your handicap? Theirs is obviously blindness. but two of my local favorites that I like to play around here are the Metamora Fields, which is not too far from here, and also Weaver Ridge. I don't get to play that often, but definitely a great place to play. Other than that, when time allows, I like to play anywhere. And here in the last couple of years, I've kind of gotten back into the NAGA tournaments, and happy to say last fall, went up to Chicago and played in the Midwest tournament and got 2nd place. So I was pretty happy with that for not practicing like I want to. As also mentioned, I learned how to drive a car when I was 16. I took, just like everybody else in Wyoming, did my driver's license. Some of you, if you've been around here a while, you know that, Wyoming is a good place to go if you want to get your license renewed. But anyway, I was able to do that and learn how to drive. I don't have any adaptations or special things to drive as long as I can see over top of the steering wheel and see out the windshield. I'm doing pretty good. I was happy to, also I ran into my old driver's ed teacher, and it was great because I happened to be with both my boys at the time, and he even made the comment with my boys to hear that he still shares with his students today about teaching me how to drive and what a good driver I was. So, and I think I only wrecked one car, and it was Mom's. And
That was so great.
Also, as far as high school goes, I didn't let anything slow me down there either. Was very social. had lots of friends, even girlfriends. Didn't let that part of I was gonna have a girlfriend too. Of course, being as smart or wise, whatever you want to call it, when I was in high school, obviously the shortest kid in high school, I chose the tallest girl in high school to date. She was center on the basketball team, played on the volleyball team. But one of the things I always like to share with people, because I'll never forget her, as far as every high school dance or anything like that that we would go to, she would purposely bring her volleyball knee pads and wear them with her dress, so we could dance and she would dance with me on her knees. So I thought that was pretty special. She, again, just another thing that didn't let it slow me down. I liked all kinds of sports. I made a point of being manager of every sports team that they would allow me, so I went to all the games. Was pretty proud to say that I was a 4-year letterman. My letterman jacket only had one though, because there was no way you're gonna get 4 of them on there. But mom worked it out, and I was happy to have the letterman jacket. I tried to get on with the girls volleyball team, but they wouldn't let me. I was also the class president in high school 3 out of the 4 years, so I was very active socially and had a great time, and really treasure all the friends that I still have today from back then. After high school, I went on and decided I would pick a small school to go to college, and so I picked the University of Illinois, which only had about 40,000 at that time, but was able to pursue and get around campus and got my degree in finance, which then allowed me to, over the years, I've had successful careers in both banking and as a businessman, a financial planner, and I'm currently the cashier of the Better Banks, if anybody's heard of the Better Banks in town. Like I said, over the years, I picked up a few things. I'm not too bad at fishing, hunting, bowling, or shooting pool either. I like to do a little bit of everything. I think a lot of my drive, or what made me be the type of person I am, not afraid to try things. My parents made a conscious effort from the very beginning just to treat me like everybody else. Trust me, I didn't get any special treatment, right? I was basically, just like everybody. And so this is where I was I'm happy now, because I look back and that's what basically has allowed me to remove the word can't from my vocabulary. I'm not afraid to try anything. But that's also that inner drive that compelled me to be like everybody else is kind of what I was alluding to before. It took a long time for me to realize that I was different. I wasn't aware that just my physical stature alone, the way that I had to learn to do things differently, I didn't really pick up on or perceive what other people were seeing. So it took a long time for me to understand that. Simply by being the type of person that I am, it automatically comes with some subtle prejudices, which I now do recognize and see. For example, parents trying to shield their children from me. It happens much more than I realize. I have my own opinions. Always, I don't let that stop me. I confront the children. I think most of the time it's the parents that are having the issue, not the kids. Simple greetings when you first come up to meet me, doing the whole thing of looking me straight in the eye and shaking my hand. And my hand's a little different, but I can tell the level of comfortability with people. Most people have no problem, but there are some that are a little nervous, and trust me, I'm not going to break. You can touch me. Another one that I've noticed more and more too is and I get it. But especially with the taller people, they immediately want to kneel down to talk to me. And Judy, you're not that tall either. Has anybody ever knelt down to talk to you?
No.
Yeah, not so much. It took me a long time to realize, yeah, I am different, and those are the types of things that people that aren't as comfortable are gonna. That's it. Do you kind of see where I'm going with it? I didn't understand that until much later in life. I think probably one of the biggest things that helped me see, again, was becoming a dad and raising a family, having children. There's a couple of examples that I like to share. Both of them involve my son Preston, and since he's not here, I can share them with you. But again, it's kind of a revelation, an eye-opener for me that took that long for me to understand I was different. But anyway, if y'all had the kids or the grandkids again, and you remember just as before they can even walk, you'd be having them and you're bouncing them on your knee, or you're doing something and goo goo got, you know, and you're, how big are you? And you're so big, you know. Remember that game? And they just throw up their hands in the air and they go, how big are you? So big. Well, it didn't take long for us to see or recognize that when Preston would do that game, he'd only raise one arm. We'd ask him, how big are you? And he'd look and he'd play, but he would only, and he'd be mirroring me. So he'd be raising up that one arm when he'd play so big. Again, kind of an eye-opener. The other thing that happened with Preston, which as he was getting older and kind of learning to take care of himself in the bathroom, those types of things, well, we kept noticing it appeared like he was always going in and eating the toothpaste. We're like, honey, you can't do that. Toothpaste will make you sick. Okay, you know, it didn't seem to help. Finally, I'd had enough. You know, you try to work and you go by. I walk by and do it again. I was like, honey, stop. You can't be eating the toothpaste. And he looked up at me and he kind of had started crying. Then at that time he says, but Daddy, do it. And I had to take a step back and say, dang, Daddy does do that. Because that's how I brush my teeth. I don't mess with trying to squirt and hold and, you know, with the two hands. I squirt toothpaste in my mouth, grab my toothbrush and start brushing my teeth. So, again, those are the types of things that obviously my eyes weren't going to be open to those until much later in life to say, wow, maybe I am a little bit different than everybody else. But like most of us in here, I'm sure, I do have a motivation to adapt and overcome the obstacles in life. And as a Christian, my personal belief is that God doesn't put any kind of obstacles in our way that He hasn't already given us the ability to overcome. So if you think about that idea, I know one of my speeches is living life as to the fullest as a handicapable person. I don't like using the word handicapped. And this is why. To me, I feel like if you use or refer to somebody as being handicapped, the part of that word that stands out is capped. And the part that I hear is, you know, the capped immediately makes me think of a limit. And not only is it a limit, it's an upper limit. And so by referring to somebody as being handicapped, basically you're imposing your impression on them that they don't have the ability to move upward or thrive. So therefore, I think, you know, the only limitations that we have in our lives are ones that we put on ourselves or impose on each other. That's a little bit of why I prefer to use the word handicapable. So with all that being said, what can you guys do, or what would I encourage you to do? Let's encourage everyone, our family and our friends, to reach beyond their limitations. Try personally to always look for new and better ways to encourage them to achieve their own unique independence, because we all have it. Also know that the ideas that I've talked about tonight, about adapting, achieving things differently, overcoming the obstacles, all of these things aren't limited to just handicapable people like me. They apply to all of us. So don't let yourself get in the way of living your life to the fullest. That's what I got.